Welcome to Vengeance of the Cosmos for Freespace 2 here on Paladin Gaming. This is a single mission demo. This is a single mission Serkr demo. I was recommended to play this because Inferno has an odd number of missions. This is the GTVA emergency broadcast system at Delta Serpentis. Condition orange. Please report to bombardment shelters immediately. This is not a drill. A genderless monotone voice announced in the background of a multicolored striped display. The Admiral touched a key on the remote, and the display flicked to another subspace broadcast. A news report from Mars. The Federation rejoices today at the liberation of the Jovian Systems Republic. Over and over again, he flipped between channels. Hostile destroyers Imperious and Carthage were eliminated at Saturn 3 days ago. An interview with Captain Kairamatin of the UEFG Yangtze in... Wait a minute. The Yangtze was totally destroyed in Delenda Est. They can get these limited edition Wargods action figures for the low price of... I would like to thank the brave men and women of the 2nd and 3rd Fleets. The Federal counter-blitz successfully... Do you have too much recyclable paper and not enough money? Bring your recyclable paper to RecycleMax, your one-stop source for all your recycling needs. No, there were no survivors from the Atreus. Nothing could have survived that explosion. It's time for Show Me What You Got, the game show where... This is the beginning of the end for the GTVA forces still in Sol. Confidential sources indicate that the Tutatis has transited the node and is bombarding military targets from orbit in Delta Serpentis. Cal Natreba today said that the elimination of remaining GTVA forces in Sol takes precedence over control of the node. A trio of soft, rapid beeps roused the Admiral's attention. Terminal off. Enter, he stated. The door silently slid open, revealing another officer dressed in the traditional blue, gray, and black uniform of the GTVA. Captain Salas, what's up? How can I help you? The Admiral greeted. What's up, really? The Admiral greeted. Just reviewing some of these changes to the Marcus Glaive, the captain answered. I wouldn't have traded the main torpedo magazines for extra heat sinks. I don't need 1,000 Eos torpedoes for any mission, the Admiral replied, but I do need the reactors to not melt into slag. I do like the power grid overhaul. Quite frankly, Enterprise ships are not configured like this straight from the shipyards. Vasudan warships are, Serkr noted. This is another thing I wanted to discuss with you. The captain sounded somewhat uneasy, not entirely sure how to proceed. It's about the Shepseskef, and your friendship with Admiral Rakamai. If this is about my loyalty index, I'll politely tell you where to shove it, the Admiral admitted to chuckle. Wow, this is a lot. No, nothing like that. The Shepseskef just happens to be the only combat-ready Alliance destroyer in the Sol Theater. You convinced the Imperium to come to our aid when the Feds hit the Agincourt. If you could do it again... You must realize that the Federation will never attack the Vasudans without provocation. This immunity allows them to run recon ops anywhere in Federation space at perfect zero risk. That is infinitely more valuable than a single destroyer on the front line, the Admiral informed, pulling out a razor-thin plastic wafer, offering it to the captain. What's on this? He took the data chip, eyeing it. Knowing the Admiral, it could be anything. Instructions. See to it that they are transmitted to everyone in the fleet. Of course, sir. As the captain left, the Admiral stretched out on the sofa, picked up a nearby tablet, and began reviewing the report from the engineering team. You would think the Admiral would have his own people for that. Wow, this is a lot. CIC modifications. We have completed the modifications to your station on the CIC. It resembles a fighter's control suite. This is a capital ship mission, isn't it? By a surprising amount, because we pulled most of the hardware from a Myrmidon. Your station has 4 extra aux input keys, sprint drive, overdrive reactors, and surplus beam passers, short burst ECM, and active armor. Okay, so this is the usual capital ship things. If you want to read this, you can pause. That should be enough time to pause. I don't need to read all of the things. That's normally in a command briefing. Captain Michael Sova, GTCv Arcane. The death of Admiral Steele holds staggering implications for all of us. If the truth of what we have done ever comes to light, we will likely pay for it with our lives. Steele and Serkr always had an intense rivalry, but ultimately I do not think Serkr is going to turn us in for our unsanctioned assassination missions. At the end of the day, the two always did work together for the good of the GTVA. As usual, we will do whatever it takes to win. Serkr is committed to the same objective. I expect all of you to follow his orders with the same dedication and relentlessness with which you follow me. With a bit of luck, the war crimes we have committed will be forgotten by history, and we will have to answer only to our own conscience. Captain Joe Numira, GTL Hastings. SOC says that the feds are pouring an absurd amount of time and effort into some secret project. Fortunately, we have a secret project of our own. The Rear Admiral has laid out a plan, and it's a daring one. I'm pleased to report you will all be receiving it shortly. The excellent news is the Hastings machine shops can produce quite literally any spare parts that we need from resources gathered right here in Sol. The Passages refinery can also produce fusion fuel, Masonic fuel, enriched fissionables, and even antimatter. Prior raids have decimated the Fed's belt mining operations, so raw materials should not be a problem. Admittedly, we do not have the sheer throughput of the node. The Feds are expecting to starve us to death. Are expecting us to starve to death. Damn it, no. Apparently they do not know that our hydroponics bay can sustain everyone in the surviving fleet twice over without rationing. Captain Barry Nichols, GTCv Pylum. Heads up, everyone. Serkr team now officially includes every single GTVA ship that survived the Federal counter blitz. I know you have all seen the reports. Fed forces have transited the node and are probably antimatter bombing Delta Serpentis as we speak. Rear Admiral Serkr wants everyone to meet in the GTD Hood's primary fighter bay in 8 hours. Yes, every single crew member in the fleet. I expect you to be on your best behavior. Represent the pylon well and show them that we can act like proper GTVA officers when we need to. That's an incredibly stupid idea. Commodore Vina Methani, GTD Hood. Yes, we suffered severe structural damage in our exchange with the Federation Wargods, although based on the events of Jupiter and Saturn, we should consider ourselves fortunate to have survived. To this end, I am intensely proud of each and every one of you. Any other crew would have failed and perished. The Rear Admiral has put together a plan for all of us. He says he has a pathway to victory and his secret project will be unveiled shortly. Personally, I prefer Serkr's approach over Steele's. Serkr team may keep secrets, but never for long. Anton Serkr is one of those decorated officers that has ever lived. I trust him with my life, and that trust has never been misplaced. We'll be prepping our fighter bay for a meeting of the 5,000 survivors of the Federal counter blitz to discuss our path to victory. Shortly thereafter, we will hold a memorial service for our 15,000 fallen brothers and sisters in arms. Wait, only 5,000? Doesn't the destroyer have a crew of 10,000 by itself? Rear Admiral Anton Serkr, GTCv Marcus Glaive. Every one of you knows that Steele and I disagreed sharply about the reasons why we fight, but Steele's agenda died with him, and the Security Council's agenda is now meaningless without the node. The Security Council has become increasingly corrupt, incompetent, and paranoid. They recklessly gamble with extinction for no other reason than to suit their own short-sighted accumulation of influence and power. History will remember their declaration of total war as the act of desperate cowards and fools. Ordinarily, I would have been content to stand aside and let them bask in the miserable failure they deserve, but these are not ordinary circumstances. This guy does not sound like a military officer. I will be straight with you, something our superiors have also repeatedly failed to do. Our actions here and now impact future Shivan activity. By Shivan standards, the war in Sol is a stalemate. That stalemate must be broken, if not by us, then by the Shivans. Failure means extinction. Blowing up nodes will not save us. That was always a temporary measure. The GTVA used to be the good guys. We used to have integrity and honor. Victory on our terms and no one else's could transform the GTVA back into something we could be proud to serve. It could destroy the corrupt Security Council and secure liberty and survival for generations to come. How does he know anything about the Shivans? Alright, let's continue. Shipwide briefing, standby mode. Okay, here's our situation. The student engineering teams from the Shepsakef and Passajet are concerned that our improvised power grid may malfunction or explode. Several of the systems out are untested, and unfortunately computer simulations can only go so far. We could go vaporize some asteroids and fire plasma into computer-generated targets, or alternatively we could do something useful. This is Federal Supply Station Epsilon, in a high-eccentricity orbit around Mars. It is one of 7 such supply stations in Mars orbit. Cumulatively speaking, these 7 stations are responsible for about 1/4 of Mars' strike craft armament, manufacturing, and overflow storage. This is not the juiciest target on the threat plot. I have selected it because it's a low-priority target and should be minimally defended. If our power grid doesn't live up to expectations, we won't be in the middle of a major fleet engagement. We can simply fire up the sprint drive to abort the mission if necessary. I'd prefer to capture Supply Station Epsilon intact. Why? They'll just retake it. This serves 3 objectives. Our strike craft complement is nearly depleted, though we have a number of captured Kinseroy interceptors at our disposal. It is much quicker and easier to capture this munition facility versus trying to adapt our weapons to UEF ships. Activation of the Baytak Total War Contingency was a mistake. The majority of the station's crew is likely civilian, and indiscriminately slaughtering them is wholly unjustifiable. UEF leadership is strongly humanitarian. They're likely to make concessions in exchange for prisoners of war, so those people are more useful to us alive than dead. The station is not entirely undefended. Intel has spotted sentry guns, fighters, and cruisers in the area. These forces will need to be neutralized. Assuming our power grid works as intended, they should present no significant challenge. Once the defenders are either driven off or destroyed, we'll deploy Space Marines to the station to capture it. Space traffic around the area is moderate, so there's a decent probability of encountering a civilian convoy. Most civilian UEF ships do not have their own subspace drives, so destroying the Intrasystem Subspace Gate will cut off their escape. Once the defenders have been neutralized, we'll send a boarding party to capture the station. From there, it is a simple matter of moving people and cargo. We will be foregoing fighter support for this mission. We only have 37 remaining strike craft, combined from the survivors of the Atrius, Imperious, Carthage, and Hood. Most are not even combat ready. Everyone clear? Good. Battle stations in 15 minutes. We go to red alert and jump in 20. Primary objectives: force stations surrender and eliminate the defenders. We're flying a Bellerophon Corvette. Ice Queen, Aurora Wake, Hellstar. What are all these secondaries? They're not labeled. Well, I already seem to have some of each, so let's hit it. We're off course and our sprint drive is offline. Engineering report. Overload state 0%. Why is the closest target? Engineering. Sir, there's nothing wrong with the drive. It's an error 974, corrupt sensor data. Not our only problem. Those transports have mil-spec armor and drives. They won't need the intrasystem gate. Can't get a lock on their cargo either. Damn, feedback from the drive caused enough interference to jam our sensors. Compensating for it should be a simple enough matter. Drive control clusters rebooted. Green lights across the board. We're ready to rock. Alright, let's jump. Firing up the sprint drive. Oh, I guess I should have, like, targeted a large ship, huh? Overload state, 25%. I could shock jump on them, but I think I'm probably better off moving in slowly so I can clear the fighters rather than jump in the middle of everything. And then I can shock jump the transports. And the game just froze. Okay, there we go. Oh. out these fighters. Alright, engines to reach top speed and increase turret rate of fire. Hard and active armor against heavy damage. Destroy convoy failed. I guess I needed shock jumping to do that. Pump armor sealant. Primary objective complete. We have repelled or destroyed the defenders. Supply Station Epsilon, this is Admiral Anton Serkr of the GTVA. Your defenders have been vaporized. Shut down your sentry network and prepare to be boarded or else you're next. Hold your fire, we surrender. This is Sub-Commander Michael Colva, ranking officer aboard the station. Most of our crew is civilian. Do not open fire, we will comply with your demands. Please make sure the order to surrender reaches all of your men. If there's a firefight inside that station, I will start turning compartments I don't need into molten slag. Understood. Give us 2 minutes and we'll have every firearm on the station safed and unloaded. Admiral looks like they just powered down the sentry grid. Lambda 1, the battle space has been cleared. Affirmative, Admiral. Let's... Oh, it's not a countdown and then... Matching velocities, initiating docking sequence. Let's... Oh! Overload state. Let's stop doing overload things. No music, no voice lines. What's that? Oh, that's Mars. I thought I had like tearing at the edge of my screen. Okay. I'm expecting like Second Fleet to show up any minute now. System handshake is good. Marines are heading into the station now. Oh boy. Sir, Mark II Karuna on the threat plot. UEFG Bradbury. Someone must have vectored our subspace approach. Those system is on the front of your ship. Turn away from heavy incoming fire. Get away from it. Press the countermeasure key to activate something or other. My sensors, they are fried. There's that Karuna. Good thing it's not a, not one of the artillery frigates. I'd be having a real bad time right about now. We need to draw it off. I have to get my overload state down. If I try shock jumper right now, all my systems will fry right when I get coming on top of it. Wait a minute. Can I hit him with Eos from back here? Can I do a subspace missile strike? I can. But that's a long fire delay, so let's make distance again. Another volley of Eos. On jump. There we go. He's pretty well done at this point. Disabled, and looks like all his weapon systems are destroyed. Oh, there's a VLS torpedo somewhere. 3 and 4. Gravity drive, launch bay, loading bay, nav array, sensors. Well, he's not surrendering, so I guess what I do here is... Let's not blow him. Mars Commander engines shot to hell and taking a heavy damage from Marcus Glaive. Advise SAR teams we're not going to survive this sortie. You could surrender. I'd be okay with that. Oh, I'm ramming it. Let's move away. start pumping armor sealant. I could order Lando 1 to capture this target. Whoops. Let's get my overload state back down a little. Are my beams missing somehow? I think I'm more used to just letting my turrets beat on it. Hell yeah, Bradbury reaction became a failure. Fantastic work, everyone. The station is now ours. Full suit completed, Admiral. The station is ours. All Federation personnel aboard have been taken into custody. Amazing how that waited until after we destroyed the frigate. Alright, let's fire up armor sealant before something else goes wrong. Okay, so what happens now? Oh, we're fading out. Supply Station Epsilon contained tens of thousands of surplus UEF weapons and munitions. Its successful capture means that we can immediately begin fielding the captured Kinteroy interceptors as part of our air wing. We have transferred the crew of Supply Station Epsilon to the brig of the GTD Hood and its cargo to the GTL Hastings. We'll be scuttling the station in 4 hours just as soon as the engineering team finishes stripping it of usable systems. The Marcus Glaive functioned more or less as expected, minus the issue we had with the drive upon arrival. Engineering informs me that all systems remained well in the green throughout the engagement. The only thing we did not manage to do today was destroy all of the Cadmos transports from Supply Station Epsilon. Given the heavy fighter and warship escorts, it's likely that the cargo they were carrying was vital. It's unlikely we'll ever know what they were carrying. As I'm sure you all noticed, the Bradbury was no normal frigate. We know that ship was modified by the Fedayeen, the Federation's Intelligence and Black Ops Division, to match the performance of our own warships. This victory proves that the UEF is not going to achieve military victory through upgrading their existing warships. We've dealt Natraba, 2nd Fleet, the Fedayeen, and the entire Science Division of the UEF a crippling blow today. Well done. Okay, no recommendations. 13 total kills, no assists because I was the only. There's nothing to assist me. 12 Ulans and 1 Karuna Mark II. So this was Evolution, the something of the Cosmos, V something of the Cosmos, I forget. Vengeance of the Cosmos campaign's capital ship demo mission for Freespace 2 in the Blue Planet. Not really the Blue Planet continuity because this is obviously an alternate timeline in diverging at Delenda Est, but using Blue Planet assets here on Paladin Gaming. This is Paladin Gaming signing off.